Rule number 1. Choose your mark carefully. In 2017, 15.5 million people in the US were victims of identity theft. Now, most of this happens online, where some very smart people know how to hack into companies. Companies that hold all kinds of your information for you and tell you it's safe with them and they'll never misuse it. Now, obviously, that last part isn't true, and even if it was, there's no guarantee they're doing anything to protect it. Anyway, that's the complicated way of doing it. The easy way is to just ask. And, of course, if you're going to just ask, you want to make extra sure you're asking the right person, which is why rule number 1 is so important.
Your usual table?
Thank you. And if you want even the slightest chance at success, you got to get real good at rule number 2. Act like you belong. Let me break it down for you. Think about any job interview you've ever been on. You walk in, say, hey, I'm looking for so-and-so. Who's ever at the front desk points you in the right direction, and you think, all right, this guy's the manager. Time to make a good impression. Well, what if that guy was you? If you sit anywhere with enough confidence and the right look and tell people you're the manager, 9 out of 10 times they're going to believe you, which is why it's also so important to know your mark. If you sit across the table from someone who's desperate for that job, the last thing they're going to be thinking of is whether or not you actually are the manager. That brings me to rule number 3. Get to know your mark. If you want people to tell you things, you need them to like you. And if you need them to like you, you gotta be like them. And if you gotta be like them, you're gonna have to figure out what they're like. And if the first time you're meeting them is when they walk through the door and shake your hand, you don't have time. But thankfully, people make it really, really easy for you. Everything you want to know is there. Just do a tiny bit of digging. Where they vacation, what team they cheer for, how they dress, where they've worked, who they vote for. You've got it all. And as soon as you know all that, you can tailor yourself to it and bam! It's like you've been best friends since childhood. So now you've got a friend who's desperate for a job and you're sitting right where you belong, just asking him for his signature and social security number. Now, every alarm bell in his head should be ringing. Why does he need it if I don't have the job yet? But it's not, because he trusts you and he needs you. I can hear you thinking, why target the desperate ones? They're looking for a job, they probably don't have much you can take from them, right? Well, that leads me to my 4th rule. People are shitty. I'm shitty. You're shitty. Your bank is shitty. Your neighbors are shitty. And my ex-wife? The shittiest of them all. But the point I'm trying to make is people are shitty. Which is why you'll find credit card companies that are willing to bend over backwards to give loans to desperate people with bad credit. So when I take out one of my newly acquired IDs to them and ask for a new card that I'll max out in 2 hours and throw away, they're all too happy to do it for me. Again and again and again. If there's one thing all of this has taught me, it's that people just aren't careful enough. They don't pay enough attention to the details, which is why someone like me is able to thrive. To avoid getting caught, you've always got to be going that extra mile, staying one step ahead. If you just keep your head down and do the little things most people aren't willing to do, you're not going to get screwed over like the rest of them. You'll be...
Mr. Purcell, can you please come with us? Are you going to talk to us, Mr. Purcell?
What's the problem? It's just another interview. Rule number 1.